What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. So in today's video, we're going to be answering your guys' questions, and this is a very exciting type of video to do because I always like to have this one-on-one connection with you guys. And if you guys do want to have more of a priority access to have your questions answered, feel free to sign up and become a member in the Barça Media YouTube channel, like what we have right here with El Poito Sir 1067, who has asked, what's your biggest hot takes in Barcelona and the biggest what if? Huge fan, keep it up, bro. And so thank you, bro. I really appreciate it. El Poito Sir is one of the legends of this Barcelona channel. He has been here since day one. And so once again, bro, thank you so much for tuning in and always supporting this channel even further. But to answer your question, right, what is the biggest hot take? And I would say that Fermín López has been Barcelona's best number 10 since Andrés Iniesta. Now I know that Andrés Iniesta never really was used as a real 10, like in a 4-2-3-1 system, because back when Iniesta was at Barcelona, he played in a 4-3-3 system. But I would just say that in general, Iniesta was occupying the spaces of a number 10 because he was a number 8 in the 4-3-3 system. However, I would just say that Fermín López has been the best one since Iniesta did leave, and that is because Fermín López has been amazing. Fermín López has scored a lot of goals. I think that in the last season, he ended with 13 goals and 17 assists. I could be wrong. I don't have the exact numbers, but it was around that range, right? It was more than 20 goal contributions. And you could argue that, oh no, Felipe Coutinho was the best, but I don't think that Coutinho's numbers at Barcelona matched up to what Fermín López has been bringing under Hansi Flick. And that is why I do say that Fermín López has been Barcelona's best number 10 since Andrés Iniesta. And I think that Fermín López will continue to grow and get better. And then as for the biggest what if, I would say that what if Neymar continued at Barcelona after 2017? What if Neymar stayed in 2018, 2019, 2020, 2021? I think that if Barcelona had a more competent board and they knew what to do with Luis Enrique and they backed Luis Enrique, and Luis Enrique did take charge of Neymar and his future, and he told him like, hey, look, you want to party, you want to do all these things and whatever, but you need to stay disciplined. I have a plan for you. Let's continue this MSN trio. If Barcelona from the very top had a competent board which kept Luis Enrique, which at the same time made Neymar stay, Neymar today would have been in the top 5 best players of all time. I think that Neymar, if he continued at Barcelona alongside with Luis Enrique, Neymar would have been one hell of a player. We would have been talking about Neymar's legacy today. However, Neymar went to PSG. The board was very incompetent. They refused to back Luis Enrique. Luis Enrique left and everything just fell apart from there. And that's why Barcelona, before Hansi Flick, were suffering a lot because of the lack of a sporting, I would just say, sporting proposal, right? So there was no sporting plan. The board was incompetent. We were spending in a very ridiculous way where we're just like, we're going to buy this player because he has a big name and that player because he has a big name, and it was all chaos from there. But to go back to the original question, that is the biggest what if, right? What if Neymar continued to play under a very competent FC Barcelona? Neymar would have been the best player in the world. He would have, maybe by 2020, 2021, maybe even overtaking Lionel Messi. Yes, I even think that because Neymar had the talent. I just think that Neymar needed the discipline, the work rate of Ronaldo, and he could have reached a very high bar. Moving on towards the next question, we have Jamie Knows Ball, and he has asked, hello, Kevin. For the situation on Frenkie de Jong, do you think it's a bad move to bring in Gilberto Mora since he played so well in the World Cup for Mexico? Now, first of all, Mora and Frenkie do not play in the exact same position. Frenkie is a CDM and Gilberto Mora is a central midfielder, much more like a 10. Speaking about number 10s, right? We just speak about Fermín López. But Gilberto Mora, right? I would say that if you were to bring him in, he's not a replacement for Frenkie. He's not going to be taking up the position of Frenkie de Jong either. I think that these are two very separate questions. In regards to Frenkie de Jong, the fact that he has gotten out for the next 4 to 5 months, the fact that he's injured now, yes, Barcelona need to find a way to, I would just say, adapt to Frenkie de Jong's absence. Outside of that, would I bring Gilberto Mora, regardless what happens to Frenkie de Jong, yes or no? Like if he's in the squad, yes or no? Would I bring him in? I would say that yeah, I would bring Gilberto Mora in. It's just that the competition is going to be very intense. Gilberto Mora he does represent Mexico. He's one of my favorite players for the Mexican national team. He's very young. He's only 17 years old. One hell of a creator. One hell of a player that demands possession, that creates with the right winger, with the left winger, with the striker. This guy really has the capability to be one of the best creators in the world. If he is under a very disciplined club, right, where the club says, look, you have to work hard, you're going to have a high work rate, all of this is essential to make it to the top, especially in today's football, right? So I would say that if Mora were to join a team like RB Leipzig or maybe a team like Girona or Borussia Dortmund, that would be much better. I would like to see Barcelona buy Gilberto Mora for maybe 10, 18 million euros. I don't know how much he does cost, and then loan him out to those clubs so he can develop even further and play in Europe maybe for 2 or 3 more seasons, because he'll still only be 21 years old. Very, very young. But Mora does have the capability to be at Barcelona's level. It's just, I don't think that he's ready to go to Barcelona and then be one of the rotating players and really compete against Dani Olmo and Fermin Lopez. The bar is set too high in Barcelona right now. But let's move on towards the next question, and we do have Musa Jr. 006, and he has asked, "Hi Kevin, are you comfortable with Koundé and Balde, our fullbacks, or you think Barcelona need to change in that position too?" I would say that in general, Koundé and Balde should stay at Barcelona. However, I do think that they need competition because they're too comfortable, right? We need Joao Cancelo to continue at Barcelona, so Balde does not feel comfortable at all. I want Balde to feel like his competition is taken away from, not the competition, the position is taken away from him. I want Balde on the bench, knowing that he needs to work hard and be better than Joao Cancelo to play within these next 2 to 3 seasons consistently, right? I don't want Balde to be comfortable whatsoever. He's so young. We have to remember that when Balde first came into Barcelona, he competed against Jordi Alba for like a season, if I'm not mistaken, and Balde never really had competition on the left, right? Jordi Alba did leave immediately after Balde came in general. And so I would like to see Joao Cancelo come back and give him the competition and make sure that he does not have that mentality that he can always be in the starting 11 whenever he wants. Same thing goes on with Jules Koundé. I would like to see Eric Garcia compete against Jules Koundé on the right back position. So as of right now, I don't think that Barcelona needs to change anything, just add more fullback depth. Moving on towards the next question, and we do have Damien Devon 55436. He says, "Hi Kevin, do you think we could use Roony as a right winger, back up to Lamine Yamal and Adeyemi on the striker position with Ferran potentially staying? Thanks and keep up the good work." Thank you, man. I really appreciate it. Now, in regards to your question, I would say that this is a backup plan. If Julian does not end up at Barcelona, I would like to see Roony Bardghji stay, only because, like what you have said, we can shift Adeyemi into the striker position, use Roony Bardghji as the competitor to Lamine Yamal, and we move on from there. So yes, I think that your idea is great, and I would like that. If Álvarez does not come to Barcelona and Barcelona do not sign a striker. Moving on towards Lone Wolf 777, and he has asked, why Barcelona not going for Victor Osimhen instead of Julián Álvarez? It's mainly because of the finances. Barcelona know that yes, Victor Osimhen and Julian Álvarez, like in general, their total package, it is around the same areas, around, I would just say around 100 million euros to 110 million euros, including the wages and the salaries and the bonuses, etc, etc, etc. But I would just say that the reason why Julian is being much more prioritized is because his profile suits what Hansi Flick does want from a number 9. Osimhen and Julian Álvarez are two very different number 9s, very different. I would say that Osimhen is less mobile, less versatile compared to Julian, and Julian brings that extra dynamic, that versatility that Hansi Flick does need from his number 9, that can shift into the left, into the right, drop deep, and combine with the central midfielders. But that is the reason why Barcelona, as of right now, are not going for Osimhen, but they understand that he could be a possibility. Let's move on towards the next question, and we do have Junaid Alexander 6505, and he has asked, any updates on Rodri's situation? I'm kind of scared if Rodri joins Real Madrid. I don't want him there. He is the piece that Real Madrid do need. And yes, bro, it is true that if Real Madrid add Rodri to the team, he would really complete the team, right? Rodri with Valverde in the CDM positions, with Diomande, who just signed with Real Madrid, if I'm not mistaken. I think that he did. It's almost basically confirmed, but Diomande on the right wing position, Bellingham as the 10, Vinicius on the left with Mbappe on the striker position. That is a complete team on paper. We'll see how they do play together against FC Barcelona. But in regards to Rodri and FC Barcelona, Barcelona are not going to put their hand first. Barcelona will not go to Man City and say, we want to give you 50 million euros so we can get in Rodri. They're not going to do that. What they want to see first is Rodri saying, I would like to come to FC Barcelona. I'm interested in their proposal. Let's see if we can make something happen. Then Barcelona will extend their hand. But as of right now, nothing is going on. Moving on towards Visca Barça 5679, and he has asked, hi Kevin, I was curious if you think maybe in the future we can get Nico O'Reilly from Man City. He's a tall fullback, 6'4", can give us the aerial strength and box threat from set pieces and corners, and he is able to push into the midfield and attack in third as seen when he plays for Man City. I hope I get put in the video. Thank you, bro, for the question again. In terms of Nico O'Reilly, I would say that Barcelona have no links with him right now. They're not interested. There has been no bids, no conversations, nothing is advanced. It just doesn't exist. And we also have to keep in mind that Man City have a brand new manager. Guardiola's not there anymore, so he's going to be assessing many players right now in the squad. He wants to see who's going to be staying, who will continue, who's going to develop, who needs development, who needs to exit, what transfers do we need. There's a lot of questions there, so I can't really tell you that Barcelona might be linked to Nico O'Reilly, right? I can't really tell you that because who knows what this new manager is going to think about Nico O'Reilly. And in terms of, I would just say the left back position in general, Barcelona are looking at Salinas. That is like their version of Nico O'Reilly. They want to develop him, they want to bring him in, maybe buy him and then let him continue at Racing Santander so he can develop and gain more minutes in first division football. That is going to be the plan, right? Salinas as one of the players that they want to grow and develop while they continue to have Joao Cancelo and Balde and compete against one another in that position. So I would just say that Barcelona in general, they're okay. They're not looking to find a brand new left back that they never heard of or we never heard of. Even with Hofre Torres, another left back that Barcelona are interested in and they want to develop him. They believe that he can be a great player, and that's why they're loaning him out to Ajax. So we have like two prospects right now outside of Alejandro Balde and Joao Cancelo. So Barcelona are going to be okay in the fullback position, and that's because of the great planning that Deco has been doing. But that is going to be wrapping up today's video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace out, guys.